Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's talk to our computer some more. Let's make friends with our computer again after all this time. Welcome back, everybody. Artist Journal, July 10th, 2024. Sailing into the unknown. Broadcasting from Berlin, Germany. My name's Adrian Pocobelli. Too comfortable in front of the camera sometimes. Sometimes I wonder. But here I am, and you just got to hit record sometimes on your life, as we like to say here at this point on show 330-something. It continues. So I've been thinking, in terms of the show, these shows have gotten out of control as I was preparing again. And here we are at like 150 tabs and, hour and a half show. So I am going to force an experiment. We are sailing into the unknown here. So for the next show, I'm going to start just playing with the format. I think we've made a beautiful format, by the way. If this was my only, if it was, I don't want, I was just thinking to myself as I was shaving after a week at Costa del Sol there, the coast of the sun, I think is what that means in Spain. I didn't expect that. A cousin has a summer house there. Lucky them. But lucky me, because I get to visit once in a while. But as I was thinking to myself, what's beautiful about this show not making money is it is free. It is a free, and so me taking time off, I don't have to be like, oh no, what's the advertiser going to say? Or, oh, the community bought me a computer and now I'm taking time off. It has freedom, and there is power in freedom. And it kind of almost gets free gets underplayed as far as, working for free. Again, we're kind of back to Socrates, who worked for free, basically. And his big criticism, and I wasn't thinking about this while I was shaving, by the way, this is coming to me now, but his big criticism of the sophists, the people who really educated, a lot of the young people, the upper class probably in Athens, 300 to 450 BC, let's call it, maybe 500 BC if we really go far. His criticism was they took money. And it's an interesting thing. We kind of look back on that criticism with a little bit of, what's the word? I don't want to, paternalistically is the right word, but we kind of look on it with a sense of, this is kind of almost mythology at this point. People got to earn their pay, they got to earn their keep. However, doing a free show like this, again, not getting income from this massive tangent I'm making here, it does, I do kind of feel like I understand to a certain degree, however I can, what that might mean in kind of real world terms. There is a power in freedom, in free. Let's call it a power in free, shall we say. So just kind of interesting. I still plan to sell my art for money, by the way, but it is fun to do speech, maybe speech especially, for free. So let's begin. But all to say, I'm going to experiment with the format because these, speaking of making art, I'm not making a ton right now because these shows are just they've ballooned out of control. So I may play with format. I may even just say take quite a bit fewer artworks, but maybe do a little bit more of looking at the history of the artist a little bit. Almost just take another kind of angle at it, start experimenting with format, and see what we come up with. Because usually, it's very similar to art making, what I'm doing here. At least what I do over here, this experimental TV show of sorts, broadcast around the world, interestingly, with me just sort of talking here. But it is, it is like art in the sense of, okay, sometimes you just feel like you need to do something new, try some experimentation, inevitably it tends to lead to a better place or to another place which is equally, if not more interesting. You have more range, you have more dexterity, etc. So I'm excited for this, and so because it's free, it's kind of nice to be able to do that, because if I was making, a whole bunch of money off this, maybe one day it will. I may turn on the ads at one point. I was watching, YouTube at my mom's place in Saskatoon. The ads aren't actually that bad, are they? I mean, it's a couple of ads at the start. I was like, oh, you know what? This isn't a big deal. So I may turn on the ads at some point, the YouTube ads. But I'm in no rush, and one thing at a time. Let's get the format. Let's take another stab at the format a little bit. Let's see if I can, because I've been saying this for 6 months that I would change the format, or at least like shorten the show. And maybe a year and a half I've been saying that, actually. So I'll just say, yeah. So we're heading into the unknown. Oh, we are sailing into the unknown, and let's see what we find. Should be interesting. And so let's begin. So of all the works I saw, I have to say this one captured my imagination. It might just be me, because as some of you know, it's kind of a preoccupation of mine, minting art on Bitcoin right now. The longer I'm in the crypto space, the more I'm becoming just like, I'll just buy some Bitcoin. Right? I mean, when you start in the space, especially 2020, 2021, you're like all the alphas in the small coins where you get like way more huge returns. You're not, but I'm starting to get more and more sort of gravitate, shall we say, towards Bitcoin. Interestingly, it doesn't mean like I'm still interested in the other stuff. But Bitcoin is taking kind of a larger mind share, shall we say, even just where I put art. And so it's interesting. I will continue to put art everywhere, Object, Tezos, Sora, you name it. Exchange.art even, and we'll take a look at I think I got $4 on that airdrop, kind of hilariously. We'll take a little look at that a little later. Anyway, this is on Gamma, a really cool site where anybody can mint. They do have partner artists. Rinnyfish actually just got, I think it's early. I think a lot of the people in this community could kind of, there's a lot of brilliant artists that they'd probably be thrilled to have partner artists with on Gamma. I may actually take a stab at that as well. So you might want to do that. I believe, now is this Amber Vittoria? I think, let me just get the name, Amber Vittoria, who has a subscription, interestingly, Flowers July 9th. So that is yesterday for Try Gamma. So this is for pass holders. Yeah, I'm never a huge fan of, again, I'm sort of like the longer I'm in this space, the less I want a utility pass and everything. I'm just sort of like, I don't want gates anymore. That's one of the kind of big takeaways. And also the unimportance of money. And money is important. We all got to survive. We all got to eat. And the more money you have, the easier your life is. So who doesn't want to be rich? I'd love to be rich. Okay. Trying to get rich, and as most of us are, not desperately, but, yeah, let's try and accumulate here so you can have more freedom. Right. But let's get back to the art here. Okay, so pixel art. We're already, 10 minutes in here. Let's go. Okay, so Amber Victoria. Right, I was talking about the pass. And yeah, but if you have the pass for those, and, let's see how they do with the pass, only $20. And you can probably sell it. And yeah, I'm actually fed up, with the whole speculation aspect. It's interesting. The longer I'm here, that is the takeaway of taking a little break. The less I care and am impressed with the money side of it. I still want to make money, and it's fabulous. We do great here compared to, I'd argue, a lot of traditional artists or contemporary artists in the scene. It's still a wonderful place, and that's great. If you can pay for a haircut and more, that's awesome. And that's something, like I always say, it's the beating heart of this scene. Is the market, the free market component. So I'm not trying to diminish that, but again, the more I'm kind of in this space, the more I feel like I understand what the people outside of the space think of it. As far as this kind of rank speculation, shall we call it. So, yeah, and so it's kind of hard to discern, what is good, what is bad, and all that. So let's not overly state that, and let's focus on the beautiful art here. But all to say, if you do own a pass, you can get this for only $20. And I say only because it's on Bitcoin, and I have to say I love the promo. So this is Amber Vittoria, and I thought this was brilliant. This is Flowers. Look at this. Flowers, July 9th. So I've always commented here, one of the things that works particularly well with pixel art, which I think we could call this pixel art, low resolution art, is nature. And, this is to me, this series almost had the sense of, well, I wish I had done that. Like, why didn't I think of that? Flowers, it's actually totally brilliant, and sometimes the simplest ideas are the hardest to come by. This is a brilliant solution to a lot of the issues that face you as an artist when you're working on Bitcoin. Because, of course, when you mint on Bitcoin, and I still plan to put out a video, fees are getting lower than we've seen in a very long time here. I saw as low as 5 V-bytes. I mean, we're talking like 50 to 75 cents a kilobyte. This is cheap. That's when if I had to guesstimate here. So the reason pixel art works and is popular on Bitcoin is because it's very low file size. These are probably, I'm guessing, like a kilobyte, maybe less. Maybe a kilobyte, if I had to guess. I would actually guess less. And so 200 or so of these were released. And I have to say, the ad is beautiful. So Amber Vittoria, and she's got a pretty big following, 47,000 followers, artist, poet, and author. Through ribbons of color and poetry, her work aims to represent nuances of womanhood, emotion, and beauty. So very cool, a familiar name in the space. I believe has work on Tezos, if I'm not mistaken. And here it is. And look at this. So I love that one too. This person got two beautiful works. And I have to say, another brilliant part of this series is the backgrounds. The backgrounds are beautifully chosen. The contrast of these kind of mute beiges, and maybe grays, kind of desaturated with the super saturated, bright, internet-y colors. It's quite beautiful, isn't it? And I mean, even the white background here, this could be on a shirt. And we're going to see some shirts later here. These would be fabulous shirts, even a hat, you name it. So beautiful, beautiful series. Now here it is on Gamma. Flowers by Amber Vittoria. They do a really nice job on Gamma, don't they? I mean, the site is one of the nicest, if not the nicest, in the blockchain world. Like, I almost feel like Super Rare, after seeing Gamma's site, they had to do a redesign. Is almost how I feel what happened here. Like, this is a beautiful website. And so the art looks spectacular. And here they are. Mint price $21.15, still available. So interestingly, 1,121, so quite a few. I thought there were only a couple of hundred. 8-bit flowers. So is this 8 by 8? 2, 4, 6. This looks like 16 by 16 is what this looks like, interestingly. Of course, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, maybe 12 by 12, right? It's different. It doesn't look 8 by 8. A lot of us are familiar with that size from 8Bidoo. On-chain Tezos art. But look at how beautiful these are. And even just the little, almost like a landscape, or is that a pot? Or who knows, like maybe that's a landscape in the background. Beautifully executed here. And again, I'm kind of back to this idea. When you're designing, art, or if you're making a website like this one, you're looking for solutions. And for me, what I see in this series is a very elegant solution. Non-artists might not realize, it's very technical what you're doing as an artist, Like I think a lot of people who have never actually tried, they think it's, and they just go, it was like me when I did my first art class. I was sort of like, I don't have an imagination. Like, what is that? Like I literally was saying, like, what are you talking about? I don't have some movie playing in the back of my mind, so I didn't know what they were talking about. I thought it was something much more vivid. And so, it's a very technical thing, making art. It's like making a website. I don't see, frankly, that many differences other than you're incorporating irrational variables. Okay? Like, I literally don't see, like, irrational variables that are inspired, juxtapositions, associations. But you're always like, whether you're using a very advanced CSS website designer, or website designer that knows how to program their JavaScript and CSS and whatever else they do, Ruby and who knows what. It's kind of the, okay, big brush, little brush, this kind of paint, use this gel, to talk about physical painting, and all this, what kind of canvas material, etc. So you're just using what I'd call poetic elements, which seem to have which are irrational. You're making comparisons like Shakespeare does. It doesn't necessarily make sense on a rational level, but it does on an irrational level when you compare, maybe in Shakespeare's case, the woman to a flower or whatever he compares it. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Right? So I believe that's a line. If not, it should be. So anyways, look at this. Beautiful. Why this one? It's like, oh, it's got that beautiful pink, right? It's got some contrasts there, I suppose, is how I rationalize what's going on here, right? So all to say, what a beautiful series by Amber Vittoria. And I adore some of these just, are hit out of the park. Now, I do wonder to myself, I assume these are all manually made. Maybe it says in the description, and then we're going to run through this show here, because actually we have a big space coming up shortly. Flowers is a collection created by artist Amber Vittoria featuring 8-bit flowers. Each blossom can be collected, gifted, and shared as everlasting bouquets on the blockchain. This collection aims to honor the important people in our lives, commemorate victories and other solace during times of loss. It serves as a gentle reminder to cherish each other while we have the chance. Poetic, flowers, a beautiful metaphor for our situation here. They come and they go. So here I brought up just a few. It seems it would be nice. I'm sure there's a reason for it that they don't have a kind of an expand here or a maximize. It would be nice if they had that on Gamma, interestingly. So again, here are just a few examples that I quickly picked out here of some beautiful flowers. Again, just a brilliant solution. You almost see this wonderful bouquet. And what's also so beautiful about it, it's kind of random looking in some respects, but in other respects, it's the epitome of rationality with this perfect square, right? So this is why kind of being loose sometimes with, pixels is you get an incredible contrast, I would argue. Here, just more interesting kind of stems here, having some fun. Bold, the temptation would be to extend this bold decision here. Almost looking at it from an angle, one's tempted to see it, and look at this beauty. So just very beautiful work here, and I'm sure just tiny files. I don't know if we can find out details. 162 bytes. And again, if you've worked on Bitcoin, you just go, brilliant. This is like a basically maybe 16% of a kilobyte. This probably costed like 50 cents to mint, maybe less. I don't know, but I mean, that's brilliant. So just a beautiful flowers, so simple, so awesome. Why hasn't anybody done this before? It's because nobody thought of it. So great work from Amber Vittoria. Thrilled to start the show, the newspaper of the imagination, with that wonderful series. So coming up today, Victor Acevedo on digital art. Victor's been making digital art since the 80s. He's considered a pioneer. So we're going to talk to him. We're going to find out what's going on and just Victor's view on everything related to art and specifically digital art, how he sees the blockchain, how things have changed. Should be fascinating. I saw a little bit of an Instagram video. Follow him on Instagram. Very personable, nice, thoughtful. So that should be awesome. And following that, coming back with a bang here, right after at 5 p.m. Central European time, and I believe that's 11 in New York Eastern time, we have, following the space that I'm doing with Victor Acevedo, we're doing a one-of-one discussion with Tim and Runetune and Santiago, and we're going to do a discussion on Tristan Serra's Data Manifesto. I was just reading it this morning. Very interesting. So that should be a fascinating discussion. So do check that out. Thank you for all the support on the last show. And let's check the comments. 11 comments. Cementario Caracol. Hey, thank you so much for the feature. Yes, it was a physical painting, acrylic on paper, Requiem de la Nuez. I remember that. Much love from Argentina. I'm going to Argentina. I'm very excited about that. It is official. I'm going to Argentina in August. There's some conference there. We'll be doing some stuff. We may do a show there. That is the talk. So excited for that. Thank you for the comment and really cool work. Radayanki, much love, Adrian. We're fortunate to have you. Well, awesome to hear. And Radayanki, sports, the great sport of the year, I want to say here, always hugely supportive and just like a pioneer pixel artist. Awesome to hear from you. Ed Marola, Eduardo Pulitzer, good to see you here. Likewise, Ed. Likewise. And K-Town Crypto King, Tezos Tuesday edition. Well, today is Wednesday, so I assume that's what you're referring to, K-Town. Not sure. Awesome to hear from you out of, I believe, Humboldt, Saskatchewan. Not far from where I was born. A few, actually, in European terms, would be very far. I think it's 4 or 6 hours, actually, from Saskatoon, if memory serves. Tombum Battle, awesome to hear from you. And I'll have to dig up, for some reason, I've lost the thread a little bit on Tom's work, so I will be paying attention to that. DJ Kiro, thanks for showing my art again, Pocobelli. Sorbet is not a collab, but I did accidentally mint it in the collabs collection. I think going forward, I will start writing the collaborators in the description so it's easy to find. Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea, Kiro. And it's kind of funny. It's always good to just be like overly clear on everything, like with this stuff. And who knows, like especially like when people are trying to piece things together, 300 years from now, should this art still exist? I mean, you know what I would say as far as, and we'll talk about the value in a bit here. If this art exists, like if the technology exists to show this art, I'm super bullish. Like it's just a matter of time, I would argue. Which is interesting. So it's all about, does the technology survive? Which is again why I'm kind of like still kind of a huge Bitcoin kind of fan of Bitcoin here. But I should continue here before Tezos. I think they'll have to keep because there's so much art there. Of course, Ethereum. Anyways, let's not get off topic. We have a ton to get through here, and we're already 23 minutes in. Lily Illo, Ceriza's work, always so wonderful. Thank you for the shout out. Awesome to hear you. Yeah, Ceriza, also known as Graphica, who also actually posted, let me see if I can find that post. Poetry Indeed, Pocobelli, August Ground, a very well-read person who was on the spaces. Awesome to hear from you, Quampa, linking to making JPEGs, and awesome to hear from you, Quampa. Kel's, another great one, Poco, thanks for the mention. You are welcome, Kel's. Awesome to hear from you. Jan Lucas Magoni, lovely journal. Awesome to hear from you, Jan, and all these great artists. Here's Ceriza Galkin. Thank you so much. So the artist who did this awesome work here. Yes, I'm the one who used to be Graphica. Very much honored to be seen in the same category as Psy, I assume meaning cider. The works as you described are collage, illustration, many are hand and ink drawings, with some being digital and digitally painted, and of course AI. Let's read that again. The works as you describe are collage. So these works here So traveling through the mediums, collage, illustration, many are hand and ink drawings, with some being digital and digitally painted, and of course, AI. And I would argue the only way to get these kind of results is by what Graphica, or shall we say Syriza, the artist formerly known as Graphica, is saying. This is the only way to get these kind of results. Interestingly, I would argue. Very cool. Thank you, Syriza. Awesome to hear from you. Braindead, loving Syriza's works. Totally. Like, look at how just great it looks on the YouTube here. Just thrilled to be talking alongside this great art here. Little Cakes watching now. Somehow this opening line really resonated with where I am in life at the moment, doing what I can with the time that is allotted to me. It's kind of hilarious to start talking and not knowing what you're going to say. And then it's like making art. If you ever have writer's block or you ever have art block, just start doing stuff. That's what I do with this show. And the more you do it, the more you just start doing stuff. And you don't know what you can do is actually one of the lessons. And we usually underestimate what we are capable of. And I'd argue if you make a lot of art, you often surprise yourself at what you've done. So anyway, I'm glad you enjoyed that, Cakes. That was off the top of my head. Thanks also for doing what you do. My pleasure. I think it's been interesting. I think it's going to get super interesting. So again, just awesome. And Little Cakes is making some waves out there. So we will be paying attention. Trippy Collector, 100% spot on with artist and the rebrand of Graphica for the opening piece. What was hilarious about that is I did it from like memory, and I think Trippy is recognizing that. Like I was just doing it from, okay, this has to be Graphica based on the style, right? Even though the name was different. And I remember Graphica had a name change, so I was like, this has to be Graphica. Hanny Naki, thank you for the comment. And Meant Art List 420, halfway there. Awesome. Okay, thank you for the comments, everyone. And just a quick look at the community here, and thank you everybody who's joining. This is a ton of fun. I'm thrilled. And again, very early stages of what is possible in this community here. So if you want to find it, just go to my profile, click on community. Let me just show you. It's right here. You just click there, and lo and behold, you get the community. So awesomely, Rizacho showing a work in progress, seeming like Rizacho took a break, and here I feel like things are a little bit, qualitatively, there seems to be a bit of a focus, like a shift in focus, like a zoom, put it this way. I feel like I see more details here, almost more of like a collage type look, and we always knew it was collage before, but there does seem to be a shift in emphasis, is what I'm trying to say. So thank you for posting. Luke 500. Longtime viewer of the show, awesome to hear from. Super affordable generative art by the 85-year-old OG computer artist Hans Dellinger. Offered at around $50, max 1,000 editions, and mint open until August 10th. That's on Expanded Art. And here it is. So, edition of 1,000 for $50. I mean, $50,000. So there's a virtue in making things cheap and in high numbers. Again, this is the dream of the digital artist, I would argue. Of the artist of the future is a huge audience, just like we saw with Xcopy. Huge audience, sell it for like $2, and there you go. Let's collect. And, so just very fascinating. 69 Ghosts, thank you for posting. Very interesting work here. Let me just bring that back here. Very interesting work. A different pixel size, which is always a very interesting technique. Looks like abstract and representational. 69 Ghosts here as well. Thank you for posting. And Rural Idol, half a day. What is this? This post is unavailable. Not sure there. I brought this up in the AI section. Martin Joe, who continues to push the AI, very consistent, very prolific. Look at where this is going. This is very, very, very interesting work. There's another one too. These compositions are getting more grandiose, or grand, shall we say, maybe is the right word, for Syndrome. Beautiful work. Happy Monday. So interesting piece, kind of looks like digital collage, very interesting. The Great Kurt Hustle Collective. And look at this, 640 by 480 MP4, one of one, object.com, bid 97 Tez, sound original soundtrack by Kurt Hussle Collective. Owner will receive a physical copy of the Kurt Hussle Collective World Zine and a couple of Kurt Hussle Collective stickers. Any bidder will receive a Kurt Hussle Collective NFT at random. Frame it. And, and you get, I think, a one of one of this brilliant work here, I think. One of my favorite artists out here. Thank you for holding. 97 cents a minute. 1/900, 1997, 900. I mean, it's so classic. It's so beautiful. All our lines are busy. Some of my favorite art on the blockchain is Kurt Hussle Collective. And when you can really tell? When you have a public show of NFT art, let's call it digital art, in public. I've done it at least once. And it's Kurt Hussle Collective type works that people from outside the bubble are like, wow, what on earth is this? That's so cool, right? So it continues. It's beautiful. So, just awesome. So one of one's going around, and here's Pixel Lord. Actually, I brought up one of these works from the Cryptomnesia series. This is in the AI section. And here's Tukes, who continues to push AI. Thank you, Trippy Collector, and these are available for a reasonable price. And so, a big series here by Tukes. I believe it's on Foundation. So, very interesting. OXDK, thank you for posting. Very interesting. And Auto Noodler with a very cool piece. Hand-drawn pixels, 3,000 by 3,000 pixels. Very cool. Never seen this artist before. Very nice. Mork Ningen, First Syndrome, Kurt Hussle Collective, JNK, just awesome. And here's Psychofuturist, finally. And we have a work in Foundation L2 minting with this piece. First attempt minting and probably on base. So Psychofuturist, super interesting discovery recently, and OXDK again. Awesome to hear from you. Beautiful work, and the Suns from the Kurt Hussle Collective. So thank you, everybody, for posting here. We must continue, and I think we've seen those over there. Just a quick note. Once in a while we discuss psilocybin here. It leads to a profound shift in brain connectivity patterns. This has long been the theory that it really just, you have your neural paths, the paths that your brain goes through as you wake up, and you kind of create these roads, these paths in your neural paths in your brain, called habit and everything, what you normally do. And it seems to me the spiritual awakening that can happen, and I'm not recommending anybody do this, by the way, but it is legal now in some countries like Canada. And there are professionals you can talk to. And I was surprised to see. I was just kind of curious. It is. As far as I understand, do all your own research, though. I'm not making any claims at all here. Other than this research, I think that's what's going on here. It's worth noting because, frankly, it's obvious, to me, as far as I'm concerned. But this knowledge is, I don't think, widely understood and disseminated, which is why I'm sharing it here. It simply increases the connections, hence more connections, hence different perspectives, and different perspectives equal contrast on your life, your default consciousness, and lo and behold, you have insight on your life that you never had before. I think that's the mechanics of what's going on. This seems to back it up. Let's continue. World's oldest cave painting in Indonesia shows a pig and people. So this came out, Reuters, July 3rd. On the ceiling of a limestone cave on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, scientists have discovered artwork depicting three human-like figures. The internet is getting busy these days with a wild pig in what they have determined is the world's oldest known, confidently dated cave painting, created at least 51,200 years ago. Well, that is quite the qualification. Everybody's always trying to get the world's oldest known, confidently dated cave painting. What I find interesting about this is how similar the portrayal of the animal is to what we see in the other cave paintings. There's a weird similarity going on, like in Lascaux, I would argue. Even in this little shape here. And I mean, maybe that's just the most obvious thing to do. So just an interesting, development here. Again, one reason why I want to shorten the shows too is so we can go into articles more in depth on that. We could spend 10 minutes probably, understanding that article and everything going on. But I mean, I am just cracking the surface of this show and it's 35 minutes in. So clearly we need some experimentation here. Very interesting. Katya Kazakina, the art detective. Is this Bizarro print worth $28,000 or $530? At first dibs, dealers and an algorithm clash. So there's a startup that's using AI to value art with mixed results. The dealer says $28,000. The AI says $530. I suspect art is one of the few things that AI is not going to conquer. It's going to be a collaboration. Well, who's to say? I mean, sometimes the poetry coming out of AI is actually 10 times better than what we're finding oftentimes in the human world. I would argue maybe that's where poetry should just stay. Let's get the AI to make the poetry, and maybe it will. I feel like poetry, it feels like it's kind of hit a point where it's like, what does it mean when the AI makes way better poetry than you can? I don't know what that means. Maybe it's a foreshadowing of where the art is going as well. Maybe it will conquer art. It probably will, actually, as I revise my view here on the spot. Let me just show you. I think we're going to leave it there because we simply have too much to go with. But basically, there's a huge disparity between what the AI is saying, and there's AI valuations and everything. So we're getting very, very early kind of, we're getting very early, I guess, modeling of what the value of art is, which I think we should be very skeptical about. I guess is kind of my 2 cents on that. Roger House. Cool AI artwork, right? Very nice from Roger House. I believe Roger House made it. Look at that. This kind of blows out of the water. The highest views I think I saw previously was Popple at 4.5 million. I feel like maybe there was a GIF artist who had gotten more than that, maybe 10 or 20 million, 18 million. Nifty Monkey, maybe, right? And then Cosmo de Medici was buying it because it got so many views. I have never seen 43.5 million views. 43.5 million views. I mean, how many people are in the world? Do the math. That's significant. Times 10 is 4.5 billion. So X continues to be, social media, TikTok, Instagram, they continue to, I think that what they figured out that they didn't figure out 10 years ago is giving people kind of viral content, and really pushing it. So if you can hit, how many followers does Roger House have now? You wonder, look, you see how it just raised while I was hovering over this? He made, with 43.5, there could have been 30,000 that just showed up in the last week when this was posted. Thank you, Anna Dart, for sending this to me, July 2nd. So insane. 17,000 bookmarks, 15,000 retweets, 144,000 likes. Now, it was also part of this, which got 343,000 views. Let's just quickly look at this. Roger House, I don't usually share my thoughts on social media, but after my last post went viral with over 13 million views, I find it necessary to do so. So I think referring to that piece that we just saw that's now 45 million views. First of all, let me clarify that I have no interest in wasting time with users who disrespect me. However, I understand that this reason this happens is the fear caused by the incredible quality that AI art is achieving these days. This is not the first nor the last time this kind of public lynching will happen to an AI artist. People are pretty rough out there. I don't know why. I guess it's seen as cheating. I think that's at the underlying psychology. I think it's the way that, in rewarding bad behavior, I think is how it's almost like the crypto, how the outside of the crypto world sees crypto, maybe the outside of the AI art world sees AI art as like almost this cheating. I suspect there's like a value judgment there, right? But I'd like to put some thoughts on the table on the matter. If they're useful to someone, fantastic. If not, I will keep pursuing my goals. Let's start. And it goes into photography, and I wish we had more time. But I have a space coming up in actually less than 2 hours. So let's look, leaving aside these theoretical considerations, I'd like to make it very clear that I am passionate about drawing. It is a discipline I've been practicing for over 15 years, being my main profession. So basically responding to the trolls, I'm currently focused on creating AI collections because I find it an incredible technology that I tried for my art as early as in 2015 and have been heavily practicing for several years now. To all of you who criticize it without bothering to really understand how the algorithms behind it work, I tell you that AI is here to stay, and it is each person's responsibility and decision how to live with it, with hate, fear, curiosity, or excitement. But, and again, yeah, there are a lot of, trolls on the issue. I would say, a fun thing to do if you're skeptical is take some of your art and put it into, use the blend command on Midjourney. I think it's free. And it takes a little longer because it's free, and there you, voila, and you might be impressed. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone who has taken the time to reinterpret the work of the girl in black cat and shared in the comments. So, again, getting 343,000. These are huge numbers. Okay, let's keep going here before my computer passes out in front of me and we'll be with no show. Jordan Mechner. So who remembers The Prince of Persia in 1989 where a magic mirror suddenly blocks the hero's path and what happens afterward? This moment was never actually planned to be in the game. My original vision was with lots of traps but no enemies. So very cool. And so this is the same creator who did Karateka, and you just see the beauty of these old games. I was like, what is that noise? That is the GIF. And so here's The Prince of Persia by the creator, Apple II version, work in progress video, beautiful. And he's the creator, Jordan Mechner, I think is the creator, put out a graphic novel about creating these. And there's Karateka. She pointed out that my previous Apple II game, Karateka, had combat, and this is a big part of what made it fun. I explained why Prince of Persia was different and why this wasn't feasible. So very, very interesting creative person here. So I brought up just a couple of comments here that Jordan replied to. Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? Lower resolution makes easier suspension of disbelief. That is interesting. I think there's something to be said for that. Think of Amber Vittoria's flowers. I still accept them as flowers. They're 12 pixels by 12 pixels. Very interesting observation there. So smoother animation. The mind fills in the blanks. Super interesting. We have another, and then also something, I've experimented with, and I think other people too, is actually making paintings of video games. I created this watercolor artwork for a friend on the occasion of the French publication of Replay. It was one of the few times I've done an original, not meant for a reproduction or a gallery. So here it is, a painting of the video game by the artist, by the designer of the video game, making a beautiful watercolor here of a moment in the video game. Very, very interesting and cool. Responding to Kika Nicolela's provocation, is it really necessary to control the offer so much? Do artists need to keep burning pieces to create scarcity? Should they feel pressured to sell out? So on the market, everything made does not need to be minted. Artists who over-mint and don't listen to their markets hurt themselves and the collectors alike. This is why gallerists and dealers exist, to help control markets based on supply and demand. It's an interesting view. It's a tough call. Because you know who I thought of when this was being discussed was Nuv 1914. Nuv 1914 puts out several works a day and has for a long time, and there was a point when they weren't selling that much, but just kept on putting work out. But then as the market wises up to what Nov 1914 is doing, I think they all basically, for the most part, have sold out. So it's an interesting question. I'm actually not totally convinced by this. And shout out to Heck or Joshua Sobel. But I think as an artist, and I'm kind of back to what I was starting with money. You know, as an artist, your focus should be to make good art. And if you can make more good art, the better. The more good art you can make, the better, and the more credible and persuasive you are as an artist, I would argue. Now, I think there are cases, like I've seen AI artists release, I remember from way back when, someone who I would say, to Joshua's point, who did overmint, who put out 50 works a day, and then put them at a Tezos each, and then it just kind of spoiled the market. It flooded the market, and even if you loved the work, it looked like it was too easy. So there is something to be said for what Heck is saying. In a sense, in some respects, I agree in extreme situations, but I think as an artist, it's actually more important to be prolific than to worry about your market. But you don't need to release absolutely everything. Release the good stuff. Like I remember someone told me a story, I don't know if it's true, I assume it is, where Picasso would collect the works of some of the artists he knew, and he'd always kind of try and get the worst works and put them on the wall so that he would look better in contrast to the people that, these famous artists with their works on the wall. I don't know if that story's true. That would be pretty lame, in my opinion, if that's what, is this the genius that, dominated 20th century art? Is that the mind of that person? It's kind of lame, I would argue. It just kind of shows small-mindedness. So I would venture to say here, referring to Picasso. So all to say, you don't need to mint everything, and it is good to not mint bad work, right? Because that does hurt you. So there is something to be said here. So I agree in some respects with Heck, and in other, but I think as an artist, don't get overly concerned with the market. Make your work, make it good. Look at how well it's worked out for Nov 1914. And I think that's just one of many examples. Dan Control, sometimes it takes a while to go. There's a point minting a lot of stuff. Most of it's gone. Sometimes it just takes time. It depends what, just make good work and release it. All right, let's continue here before the computer dies. Jedi Wolf, a sincere question for both artists and collectors. Is creating cool art in today's attention-driven age sufficient for success? Or is it equally important for artists to engage and nurture collectors, maintain an active social presence, and build a community? This question's on my mind a lot. I say, first things first, if you don't have a good practice, you don't have anything as an artist. So it's focus on your practice. And then, I would say you don't nurture. To me, this is almost too much. I think you should be thankful and grateful to your collectors. I don't think you need to be anything more than that. Some people it might work for, but I don't think you owe a collector anything than being polite and saying thank you. And that's it. Be a good person. Thank you for buying my art. Other than that, I wouldn't overdo it. And it could even backfire on you if all of a sudden the collector's like, well, this person is trying to, get on my good side so I buy more art. And it's maybe that loses interest. So focus on making good art, be nice to people, and I think you're okay. And maybe the community starts to build itself, right? Focus on the art. Here was the drop. I got $4. This person got a penny. My art airdrop is worth $0.01, and I bought and sold on their platform multiple times. So did I. I minted, I sold. So projects are really starting to hold out when it comes to airdrops. Thanks, exchange.art. And then there were tweets that people could oh, it's free. Don't be so entitled and all this sort of thing. But I do think there's something to be said for what this person is saying. And I kind of felt the same thing. It's are they rewarding community members, or are they rewarding basically farming their platform? And again, it feeds into this kind of negative perception of crypto. And I'll continue to mint on exchange.art. And I like the Solana collectors. I think it's kind of it's an interesting platform, frankly. But it doesn't make you super excited to mint there if you have already sold art and made art and bought art, and collected art. It doesn't make you excited at all. There is, you have to be careful, I would argue, about it can have a negative reaction. It was almost like the ZK Sync airdrop, for example. I used that platform a few times because I actually needed it. I can't remember. I was going through and I had to transfer. So it's just like, and then am I excited to use ZK Sync when you see all these kind of farmers and these people manipulating the platform get rewarded? Does that give a positive view of the platform? Not necessarily, right? So I think it's a double-edged sword, interestingly. So anyways, let's continue. And again, you can't be, I agree to a certain degree. No one should feel entitled, but I do feel like I can call it lame, the airdrop, Here's another hilarious, crazy, showing how wild this market is. The craziest part about this sale is that the bid was placed nearly 3 years ago. So someone bid on this artwork and forgot about it, one assumes. I wonder if the buyer just forgot his or her ETH was deposited on the super rare contract the whole time. $58,000. So someone had bid $58,000 on this work, beautiful looking work, and it was accepted only now, July 5th, and the bid was made on August 21st. I mean, it's pretty wild, the crypto scene, isn't it? Object, generative art, is proud to unveil its generative art engine, making an exciting expansion of creative possibilities on the platform. So this is interesting. I don't know who Fake Whale, and I am excited. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm going to put work on Fake Whale's gallery, our first ever native generative art release. But I would like more information on the relationship between Fake Whale, because it seems to me, and it seems like they get kind of favored treatment on the platform. They have, the whole row on the homepage of Object. Like, have other people been able to make galleries, or is it just Fake Whale? Maybe they have. But it seems like, what is the relationship here between Fake Whale, I wonder to myself, and Object? So it's just kind of open wondering in my mind here. So they are going to put out the first ever native generative art. Because again, I'm almost back to Bitcoin. The more decentralized it is, the better. And that's why I even say, Gamma, I think, is an awesome platform. But with these passes, all of a sudden it's starts to be centralized. It's like, oh, you have to do something. I'm just kind of over centralization. If what I like about this space is the decentralization. At the end of the day, yeah, I may use Solana for whatever, but at the end of the day, that's what excites me. The freedom, the lack of gatekeeping, right? That's what makes Gamma kind of cool. On the other hand, is really cool, actually. Anybody can mint there. And then have this really nice platform with one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful website on the blockchain, right? So anyway, let's run through. I can't believe how long this is taking. Dan Control. Look at this gorgeous print. Let me just get rid of that. Look at this gorgeous print here in the Dan Control doing an outstanding job. Interesting keeping of this white area here. Very interesting. Not sure why there's white there. Maybe that's just the background. It's probably the background of the frame, and the print is kind of put in here, but it looks really nice. So curious. Really nice production from Dan Control. Getting ready, printing, lazy. See you soon. So this is a show that Dan Control is going to be putting on, and let me see if actually, look at this, and look at these. So it's all on purpose, I think. Look at this. So another using the white margin. Wow. And then here, this isn't white margin. So just very interesting printing of Dan Control's work. It looks beautiful. And here is, look at this, Bosque Gracias. This stuff is looking pretty darn gorgeous. Bosque Gracias, art residency with Seed Computer. I mean, look at this. This is printing beautifully, like beautifully, beautifully. And look at this. Let's see. I think, do we have, here it is, ready to share Patagonia. This is the stamp, just like walk there. Look at this. Like, that's how you do it. That's how you make it official. Starts to become worth more money when you do that, or just more valuable, more credible. I would say from the collecting point of view, it's like, okay, I have proof that this is by Bosque Grazias, that this is an original. Okay, so all that stuff really helps. Look at how gorgeous that stuff looks. Walk. So Uxine gets God in the mail. It's gorgeous, gorgeous work. From Walk. Look at just the whole, Walk is a very brilliant art entrepreneur. And as you see here, again, I need to speed through this a little bit. Here is the stamp even on the package, really giving it that sense of preciousness, which you want to get with physical art. That's what we're seeing here. Also by Walk, a t-shirt of Pikachu, I assume that is. And again, you see the dexterity of this artist here. Just brilliant, brilliant artist. Here's Heck again, made a special trip to the Museum of the Moving Image yesterday, which I believe is in New York, to claim a token and with the glory of Sabato's installation. So here, maybe claiming a token. And look at Sabato's, look at how good that looks. They did a really nice job of displaying Sabato's work. Looks edgy and cool. Edgy and cool. Just very impressive. Let's continue. Visiophone, and now in real life. So look at this in the broad day sunlight. In sunlight, this is showing beautifully. So I assume it's a TV. Look at how good that looks. I think we'll see this later in the show. Maybe that's a festival or something in real life. And yeah, I think I have this work actually later in the show. And here's just Kuro, more physical renditions. So a digital frame showing a couple of works here. The Human Condition by Adi Avidani. Make sure I'm following them. And here's another one by Kim Asendorf. Can't believe I got one. Cool frame, cool work. Into the paintings we go. Look at this work by Ratcloak. Having kind of a bit of an expressionist direction, moving in a bit of an expressionist direction here. Quite powerful. This work, red background, I believe using Photoshop. Another beautiful work here. Again, I think painted in Photoshop. I don't think any clues here. Ratcloak with some just beautiful, kind of enigmatic works, kind of unsettling, kind of darker, which is typical for Ratcloak and everything. Look at the shadow, just beautifully, beautifully painted. And look at the rain. Look at how original the rain is. The color, the direction. Have you ever seen rain like that? It's really beautiful, and even it almost has this Lautrec kind of feel to it. This Henri Toulouse-Lautrec in the shapes of the cartoon, mildly cartoonish, way that things are drawn, outlines. Really, 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 really nice work from Ratcloak. And here's one more. Not sure if these are being minted anywhere. And a person, maybe the Ratcloak figure, shooting a horse. So a more dark works here. And look at the grass and the sky. Very interesting work. And here's Matias La Plata. Not sure if this is new or not, but it's awesome to see Matias La Plata back on the scene again after a little bit of a hiatus from what I understand. And look at the McDonald's spider. Not sure if this is being minted anywhere, but a totally awesome, super fun artist. Great McDonald's works. There's the Mikey Wilson gallery with the upside down McDonald's. Just rad. Not sure if new or old, but just rad. Rad artist. And continuing on, Mumble Boy, City Hiker. So another cool work. This is an edition of one from Mumble Boy. And again, combining physical, digital elements. Looks mostly physical, but I think it's a digital collage. And you may see, this looks mostly physical, doesn't it? Quite, what kind of amazes me about Mumble Boy is the amount of work that Mumble Boy puts out, but it's always so complicated. Like, it looks like each one takes a week to do, but Mumble Boy is able to make them quicker. Very interesting. So very cool work there. Here is Mikael Nolson, one of the two people with Chi Moscow Jackson who encouraged this show when it was two Spotify shows. There, Mikael said, check this out. This is awesome. And I think Chi Moscow Jackson said, yes, this should be video. After I wondered that out loud to myself in one of the first two kind of prototype shows. Look at this. Cool abstract here. Bit of a different direction, slightly. Bit more kind of flat, you might say. Very beautiful work here from Mikael Nolson. No comment, and doing really well on, I think has a huge, if you go to Mikael's exchange.art profile, you'll see like incredible sales. Like incredible, like 35 sol, if memory serves, 40 sol. It's been a couple of months, but let's continue. Computer is doing well so far. Let's keep that. Dan Control, some meat. And I think this single presence, very interesting, beautiful rendition of meat. Here, gradient artist, you might say, Nuv 1914. Some new works here. It looks like people, picking fruit, plantando, maybe plantation. Maybe, or, I recently saw this in Spain when I was on the train. I was at, where was I? I was at Torremolinos, which is by Malaga. And on the train, it was like under the sun. You'd see people picking olives or whatever they were picking. It was very reminiscent, actually, of this scene here. Guerreros, so maybe soldiers, if I had to guess. And here, almost a medieval-looking work. And look at how ambitious. Look at the work that Nuv 1914 is doing. And Nuv 1914, I believe out of Argentina, Nuv 1914 is starting to make a living here. Again, I think of Human Boy, like with their bare hands, just crafting a living here. 25 Tezos, putting out 2 or 3 works, often a day. This turns into real money. Like if you have $60 US, it's, kind of at the $75 US. I mean, in Argentina, I think that's a living. Amazingly, like bringing $60 US a day. In the West, even if you have like $75 to $100 a day, that's basically a living. Not bad. I mean, so here is Nuv 1914 crafting out a living. Very impressive. Tracion. So, the virtuous side of the money side of crypto. There are always two sides to every story here, and very kind of fun, ambitious, original composition here. This looks like traición. This looks like treachery, doesn't it? As the person looks on at maybe looks on at the couple here. Interesting piece. And what's kind of cool about where I think Nuv 1914 is Nuv 1914 is seeing what's working. And so now is giving the market and now has to come up with ideas every day. And this is the beautiful side of the market side, because it's like, okay, I got to keep bringing in my living here. What am I going to do today? Okay, here we have a couple. Okay, presión. It's a very fun way to work to a certain degree, living and dying by the market to a certain degree. So it's a complicated picture, money and art. It's not a one-size-fits-all, one-sided story. It's not a black or white issue, interestingly. 403 scenario. Very interesting artists here. LXTXCX, and this sold for 25 Tezos. Nice work. Cool abstract here with the big X that we see oftentimes on computer windows. And you see almost like a physical textured paper, CMYK type style, characteristic of this artist. 403 scenario, of course, referring to, file not found or something to that effect. Here's Cider with a beautiful work. I assume it's a strawberry. So this is an older work, I think, but one of spectacular work, because here you see Cider at work, especially back here. Let me see if we can make this bigger. Yeah, look at Cider. Now, Cider was on the space. We had a space with Cider maybe 6 months ago, and how are we doing for time here? We're doing okay. Goes physical to digital and back. Okay, like if you're wondering, how does Cider get all of these little kind of details and mark making? It's probably because it's physical, right? So combines digital and physical processes to get this incredibly rich, textured digital file. Beautiful. And Cider was working on physicals at one point, so we'll have to keep track there of what's happening. Here's Quampa using what looks like a new version of Microsoft Paint. Let's see if we can make this bigger. Here we go. And almost looking like a face here. And kind of suggestive, semi-abstract. Kind of has almost a bit of a Picasso feel to it. Very interesting piece from Quampa. And there you see Ether. Very interesting. 16.2 megabytes. Not small. Interesting everywhere. Let's continue. Walk again, Nidorino. So I think this is also a this is a digital file, natively digital, I believe. And I believe this is another from the what do they call it? Not Pikachu. From whatever that series is that Pikachu is in. I think Walk is doing the cards, if I'm not mistaken. And only at 1 Tezos now. So huge deals to be found. I'm seeing, like we saw Unknown Collector buying works. People are still buying Tezos art, and that's exciting. Like I see a real Unknown Collector, kind of like myself, spent way too much money, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I even have been collecting here and there. It's very interesting. And to me, that makes me also bullish on this scene because it shows this wasn't just a flash in the pan where, 2 years later we look and go, what the heck were we thinking? We're going 2 years later like this is better than ever. That's interesting. Surviving the test of time, right? Let's continue. Yuri has a whole series here called Herbarium. Here's one work. Maybe we can make this larger very quickly here. So just to give you a feel of the work, and here we have several different mixes of what looks like the same composition. Very, very, very interesting. One of ones for 50 here. Just that one sold. That one's beautiful. I think this went to Kika Nikolela, or there was another one that did. This went to Nico.tez. And maybe I'll leave that. Again, object a little slow to load the images. It's usually the thing that's slowing this show down the most. And I love the people at Object, by the way. They're incredibly supportive, especially the social media now. But it's more just like feedback. Because again, like I've called that website perfect. The images could load faster. I don't know if there's a solution. There may not be. And it looks like they fixed the notifications. Actually, at least for me, maybe it was never broken. But for me, they're working better. So just feedback there, should anyone be listening. And look at how beautiful this is. Martin Bruce kind of got a pixel art kind of feel to this one with some GIF noise. 3 jets. Just a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant artist. Here's Juana Pedro. Look at this. Super interesting work on Zora. Very interesting. Kind of half abstract, half representational, weird framing, beautiful color. Free mint, 27 minted, 18 days to go, Night and Land. Very beautiful painting, digital painting. Here's Marcelo Pinel with a cool work. Let's just get rid of that. So this is called Somnia. And you see the figure here, wake up. Just a very powerful work, and waking up almost like the astral body here, and you see all these references along the way, Dreamcatcher, everything. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And here, very nice how Marcelo Pinel shows their work on Instagram. The artist, it's Ed Marola. Look at this painterly digital artist here, this beautiful brush making, super prolific, and the prolificness works for Ed. It looks like a fire and some skulls, just a super interesting to watch the evolution. Another artist that just continues to evolve here. This is Turkarak, F, and won't say the title here, but let's look at the work. Look at the textures here. Another artist that continues to evolve and just always kind of showing kind of like the darker side of life, the very, all too human side of life. This sold for 25 Tezos pretty quickly. People continue to collect here. Die with the Most Likes, Diary of a Ground Beef. So more satire from Die with the Most Likes. I thought this was great, and I was very impressed. Love the kind of typical, I think, for Die with the Most Likes. Using almost the fill here, but it not going into the letters is very nice, and it's almost like leaving the background color is the same there as there, as well as there. Just super prolific. Interestingly, to Ahek's point, doesn't mint, I'd say, like 80 or 90% of the work. Interestingly. Very interesting. Jake Studios. Dambu Halang Anito, and Jake seems to have like a close encounter with, I want to say, just with health concerns. So shout out to Jake, and who said now that he's getting better is going to totally double down on the art. Because I think sometimes when you kind of hit the near-death experience, we were talking about this with Retro Manny, I think last week, it kind of sharpens your mind and you go, what am I doing that means anything? And the art becomes all of a sudden front and center for a lot of people. Edition of 1, now at 25 Tezos. The bids are coming in. Life continues on Tezos, and look who it is. The person who composed the music at the start and end of the show, Tradscape, Near River's Quarrel. Let's see if we can get this running. Kind of video game inspired. Beautiful gradient here. Beautiful gradient, like I'm sure made the music. Very, very, very cool. So great to see Tradscape back. Edition of 15 for 20 Tezos. Near River's Quarrel. Selling 5 already. Really, really, really cool artist. And here's another one. Look at how many great artists there are in this scene. Mirapixel Mirakit. Another gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous work on Zora. The texture, the color, the composition, almost like this UI here. Is this AI at the beginning that's been super processed? Where did this image come from, right? Super cool. And again, animation, without it being animation, just movement, dynamism. 20 minted and 21 days to go. I need to start minting this stuff. I just adore it, just to have it. Like, you can get this for a free mint. What are you waiting for? Sui Soichi, another artist I'd love to show in the same show here. Just beautiful textures. Dropping on Monday. Don't miss it. So I think this might be out because that's from July 6th. Not sure where this dropped. Super interesting, textured. Let's just very quickly. I mean, we're already at an hour 12. I do have to speed up here, but just give you a taste of, it looks like effects on effects on effects. Here is Nicholas Dietrich, Underground Sanctuary with Artificial Sun. A new work here. Look at that. Just another super interesting pixel art work, enigmatic, almost looking like some kind of school building there, almost like a pool there. Is that a plant? Everything underground, and hilariously, diagram not to scale, the Earth's surface is 800 miles deep, under which it is hollow. So just very, very cool work. 5 Tezos, edition of 20. You know the artist? It is Sabato, and playing with some... is this a retro controller? Interesting. Kind of old school joystick over here, but kind of looks like a newer school controller with a video game here. Just interesting piece. Vectrix, the first and only vector game based gaming console, 1982 to 84. So a Chrome period drawing, meaning it's not using colors. And did I bring up, and good, I brought up the other one. The art critic is game. This is I think this is a free mint on Zora. 3 days to go, 32 minted. So playing, here's the art critic with the dunce hat. I assume that's a dunce hat. There's the Mona Lisa. The past hangs over us like a tyrant. Who is she? You know, on Object, if Sabato does an edition of 32, these are often like 10 or 15 bucks. Here, 32 minted, you can mint it for like a couple of bucks. The art critic is game, and it looks like a very collectible work here. So don't sleep on the Zora works, is what I'm telling myself, and I share with you here today. Most Wrong King. Every day kind of feels like a deluxe paint gradient there, cycling gradient. Very cool work on Twitter. 5,000 views, doing quite well. Here is our milk. I want to mint Object or Zora. I appreciate your opinion. Those are the two big options right now, aren't they? I guess there's Foundation on base, and I'd argue Bitcoin. You know, stuff with like Gamma and Ordinals, right? I mean, it's like, it feels like that's what it's kind of boiled down to, unless you go on some of the layer 2s. I guess base is a layer 2, but, you know, Optimism, Arbitrum, is people minting there? I'm not sure. Or Avalanche, I can't remember the name, 01 maybe website. Here's Gozo. This is on Zora. You're seeing Zora make more and more inroads. I think it's, again, the artists are like the devs. They follow liquidity, and that's okay. If it's okay for devs to do it, it's more than okay for artists to do it. So that is the nature of the beast. And look at all this great art that's being minted. This is called Scale from Gozo. So this is already sold out, and that was done July 2nd, and bringing in, you know, a tidy amount of money. 36 minted, bringing in, you know, probably $150. Gotta love it. Here's RJ. RJ's back, edition of 10. I'm going to speed through here. Otherwise, we're going to go for 2 hours here, and my computer might not handle it, and we might lose everything. So that is why we're going to do that. Just a beautiful work with the GIF noise being the TV noise and the drink there. I think Vincent Van Dough picked up one of these. Look, selling nicely here. Magician, Kika Nikolela, Vincent Van Dough, Flexosaurus. 15 Tezos, edition of 10. Really nice piece. Here's another one at lower resolution, I think. The 7th screen, 367 by 480 after William Barnett. And there we see the classic screen by RJ, 9 Tezos. And I think that's at auction. This is a 1 of 1 at auction. So how much longer do we have to go here? 6 hours to go. You might get a cheap RJ if you sneak in there. Purgatory Room, Brain Dead. So here, a series by Brain Dead. This came out July 5th. So kind of a different take on the Pixel Art Factory, actually incorporating more space into it. Adding space. Almost a popple-like eyeball there. So beautiful work here as we see very interesting animation from Brain Dead and almost a Magritte-esque bird in a cage flying. Hourglass, kind of a surreal work, isn't it? Purgatory Room 2, and here's Purgatory Room 3. These are on Tezos on Object. Just beautiful work here. Super interesting. And you see the development, this narrative, zeros and ones in the book. Brilliant. Here's a brilliant Manidal, and I assume P1, but not sure. Maybe it's just Manidal. Oh, we have music. Yeah, P with the 1. Look at the color. Manidal, just a NP1, just brilliant color. End composition, this one. Wow. Like, amazing. This artist, like, they decide, I guess, not to mint on the blockchain. It's beautiful, beautiful pixel artwork. I mean, I'm sure they would be making thousands of dollars as artists. Like, just very, very cool artist. Raccoon.ch, what was your order? More cool pixel art here. See if we can make that bigger, just to give you a taste of this wonderful menu here, almost like McDonald's. Very cool pixel art. And here is another one. You're in a convenience store. So more interesting pixel artists on Instagram, you know, who are not necessarily minting. Here is Green Ginger, Freedom's Captive. Playing with this kind of 3D, I want to call it Blender. I'm not sure what the software kind of that makes these kind of tiles. It's almost like video game, 45-degree angle down, looking down, that kind of classic video game view. Interesting how they kind of turn it into a tile, right? Green Ginger, I think it's a duo. Edition of 35 for only a Tezos 50, very reasonable, and selling 6 already. Mikey Wilson. Where does all this money come from, Mikey Wilson? The true patron of the arts, Mikey Wilson. I mean, shout out to Mikey Wilson. If you're watching, just so impressive. You will be famous. Like, if this scene is famous, Mikey Wilson will be famous. Element Lee, the Writing Spirit drawing series. Look at this. So, Element Lee, very interesting. Some colors here. Always, always interesting, Element Lee. So, a few works here. Just experimenting. I create artworks mostly based on intuition without thinking too much. And there's a real virtue to that. Just start, right? Just go. My spatial isolation series, Writing Spirit drawing series, were all formed this way. I was obviously influenced by some masters in the history of art at the beginning, but now my styles and inspirations come from all aspects of what I see, such as nature, city life, the internet, etc. Very, after a number of years or so, another very prolific artist. And I think it works in Element Lee's favor. Puts out work, I think, every day. See daily art here? Daily art, but I think Ahek isn't saying don't mint every day. He's saying pay attention to your market. If your market is getting flooded, you don't need to mint everything. And I think there's, something to be said for that. Really cool space here on the top. More cool work from Element Lee. Here's Anis Abdin. Day 190 of doing daily artworks. And here you see some snow. And here's the static version. Very cool work from Anis Abdin. Here's Spiegel's Maskinen. I'm not sure what Spiegels is up to on this work, but it's almost have these big hexagram kind of, or hexadecimal squares here. Very interesting work from Spiegel's Maskinen, and I think it's part of a whole series because I felt like I was seeing quite a few of those come out. As you see the hexadecimals here, Mermaid. This is for Ningyo Hime NES, and let's make this another open edition, which is Silva Santu's preferred way of selling works, it seems. So beautiful glitching, again, just continues to evolve and improve. Vaporwave has always been good and interesting, but just continues to get more refined as an artist here. Look at this. Totally minimal. Very minimal. Very cool work here. Vaporwave 3, cool title. And you see some, just very interesting. This is a Tezos. Get it for a song. Buy it for a song. Luis Andre Gama. Catavento, my first mint on base, so just a cool kind of op art type work or animated abstract. Here's the work we're seeing on the screen in the community. Just pretty cool. It feels like programming art. Visio Phone Lab, very interesting work here. Just beautiful. Kind of looks like a cursor moving through. Recorded. Not sure. Program art. Very interesting. Here's Psychofuturist. For my next move, I would like to call a friend. 10 editions, 5 Tezos each. Interesting piece here. A lot of kind of almost photographic. Look at the eyes move. Very cool work there. Here's Aitzo with a couple of landscapes. Let's see if we can play this and not kill the computer. Here we are, hour 22. Let's see if this plays. Here we go. So going with landscape. Interesting. Of course, we did the Modern Furniture series, that brilliant series. Now doing some very cool looking landscapes. Here's another one. Not sure if it's going to play. I don't want to push my luck with the computer here. Let's see if it works. Just do a little bit. Yeah. So as you can see, so very cool, kind of sampled from VHS. So export, as many of the glitch artists like to do. The Ninth Wave, cool title, 1 of 1, 77 Tezos from Aitzo. Brilliant work here from Ex Mortal. This sold 100, everybody loved this work immediately. Offer 150 Tezos. How much did this sell for? I'm trying to figure out the history here. It was minted, offers were made of 150 Tezos, and then it was transferred over to, so I assume maybe this 150 Tezos bid won it. Anyway, let's look at the work. So, of course, the famous, what is the name of this show again? Bob, I want to call it the famous painting show on PBS, and beautifully glitched here. Every day is a good day when you paint. Just awesome. Awesome. I can't believe I can't remember the name of that guy. Carpe Diem. This is also a very cool glitch here. Very nice piece. This is from Kyle Flemmer, and it's almost like you can see this is like a recording of a screen because you see like the screen bending a little bit. Very nice glitch. Scene composed and animated in Aseprite, rescanned from a Zenith CRT TV, color corrected and reanimated in Photoshop. The color is gorgeous on that, and I wish this was bigger. This is DJ Kuro, and it isn't moving. So, oh, maybe it is moving. Yeah, so just a beautiful minimal work. Again, unfortunately, it's a little small here. Go follow DJ Kuro on Instagram, where I found that one. And here is Kizu. Oh, sorry, this is Renki with some more kind of almost playing with donut shapes here. Very cool work. Edition of 1, not listing. Here's more work. This on Instagram by Renki as well. Yamasaki Renki. And putting the link to object there if you want to see it on Tezos. So very cool work there. And here's Mika Oladev with a very virtual altar. So almost like this Christ-like figure here, almost, but not quite, with these spotlights here. 3D, it's animated, it looks like a GLB. Wild work here. Edition of 10 for $11.50. Totally wild work, almost sold out here. So nice work from Mika Oladev. Here is some beautiful work by Ile. Remember You Are Dust. Remember You Are Dust Work in Progresses by Ile. Beautiful painterly skulls here and just beautiful painterliness. Ile getting really nice results here using AI. Not as easy as it looks. I would love to get results like this. Looks beautiful. Work in progress by Ile. They almost look finished. Here's RJ with some interesting pages from an Imagine notebook. This looks like AI as well. Can we zoom in? No. So again, and look at the paper. Like, what's going on here? I assume this is AI. We saw a one of one, and some of these are available. Unless OX West bought them all, it's only $5 each. So here, again, images from an Imagine notebook. So again, it looks like AI. It's getting hard to tell. Here's Lily Illo with a gorgeous work. This looks like a wonderful oil painting. Mother Artist. This looks important. Is how that's what it looks like. This looks like a grand oil painting. AI art. Look at the hands. Look at the hands. Look at the hands. Just incredible. Beautiful color. Another beautiful work, this time by Strange Thing, with this beautiful kind of Renaissance-like figure with maybe an Apple Vision Pro or some sort of VR gear. This beautiful Renaissance artwork that we've never seen before with modern clothing in it. Just super powerful. Here's Martin Joe, who I think we saw this maybe in the community. So here's one work, very cool. I think this is GM Coffee Bear. Me, Myself, and I. This is on Zora, by the way. And here's another one. These are getting pretty darn interesting. Here's a rainbow and just these still lifes in the front. The bears. The works are getting kind of more ambitious compositions, more grand, I think is what I said before. Here's Pixel Lord. And of course, I had to gravitate towards the synth. Maybe Amanita muscaria mushroom here. And interesting background here, as you see. So again, AI. See like the Star Wars figure, the pixelation, everything. No human would have made that. Very fascinating work, part of a larger series, a Cryptnesia series. And look at this. This is on Object. I assume the Criterion of Eternity, only 2 pieces available. I assume this is AI. My computer is the fan is going, so we're going to speed up a bit here. Here's No Hygiene. This is on Object, super experimental AI artwork. Here's another one. So very interesting artist. If you've never seen No Hygiene before, it's an acquired taste, but once you kind of get it, you go, wow, this is edgy. Really pushing the frontiers of aesthetics here with No Hygiene. So super interesting artist. Here's Santiago. Now this is a vector painting from a real life painting, something that is totally underutilized. Leave it to Santiago, who I'm going to see in the space in a couple hours here. And here, so this is taking a real world painting and vectorizing it. right? In Photoshop, maybe tracing it in Photoshop. Super interesting. Again, traveling through the mediums, very interesting results. Huge file as usual. Here's Machine with a totally topical, awesome artwork here. And this is based on this photo here. So you get a sense of part of how Machine works. So awesome piece, UEFA 2024. Of course, this looks like Paris, Spain, 16 hours ago. So did this happen? I feel like this was posted before the game, but maybe it was posted after the game. Almost real time. We saw it with Putin and Kim Jong-un. That Machine did like within hours. This idea of real-time commentary by artists on the internet of what is happening in world affairs is incredibly powerful. Like, I mean, is the art relevant is one of the questions you can ask yourself, and I think you have to say yes in Machine's case there. Die with the Most Likes, Burning Ethanol, another beautiful painting here. This is going somewhere. With Die with the Most Likes, very nice painting. Ilya Barbarin, good morning. Here, another interesting physical artwork here, super original. Here's Walk again, Prodigy album. I think that came out in '97. I remember that. I was kind of let down by that album, but the cover is beautiful, and Walk's rendition even more beautiful, masterly, as I like to say, Pappy Class, with a physical analog painting, as he calls it. And here it is. So pretty nice, I think acrylic, I would have to guess, painting here. Interesting piece. Here's Joachim Official with Chuck Berry. Never seen this one before. Just beautiful. Enamel paint and oil stick on canvas, part of the Christian Hilardi Gallery. And there, I think, is the artist, Studio Vibes, with their work. So you see how large it is. So very cool there. David Hales, artist I've been following on Instagram for years, still needs a title, acrylic on canvas, super prolific artist here, very interesting. See, experimenting with either painting over something or experimenting with textures underneath. Okia Shohei with a watch. I feel like we've seen this one maybe, but refreshing, but a quick refresh here. Here's Casio watch. Here's a computer. GarageBand for Mac and Overdrive. Awesome drawings here. Here is Emily the Ander. Actually, this is an artist I think I know here in Berlin, who I haven't seen for a while, and so very interesting drawing here. Beautiful drawing. And Moto 583, Moto Hero, this is part of a 6-meter painting. So you gotta love the color in these rocks. This artist who we've been looking at is just totally awesome. Here's more, also part of the 6-meter painting. So I don't know if we've seen the whole 6-meter painting. Maybe that's that guy there. And so we got to speed through this here. But there's always a temptation. It's still a part of the 6-meter painting. Okay, this is part of a 6-meter painting. You see all the creativity, and frankly, in each line. The little eyeball on the head, just an awesome artist. Here is Donnie O'Donnell with a cool dog with maybe rainbow ears. Interesting and just beautifully executed. And here is Tim Lahan, who always who often plays with this kind of pixelation, but it's all painted, all physical. 100 Eyes from 2019. Here's another one, Jerry Meyer, again playing with the JPEG artifacts and over zooming in on a image, digital image. Bondozo Bandito, another interesting work, just red and white. Just very interesting artist. Big work. Is it finished? Rodeo Rotation? I assume it is. Super prolific. Joseph Yeager, just doing a foot here. Kind of a suggestive, provocative work. That's It's Not Gallery posting that. Who big trailblazers in the airbrush painting trend. Parsa Mostagim, It Rains. So this is CGI, interestingly. So super interesting art here from Parsa Mostagim. And here's Apshrewbury, just a wild vase here. I love it. It looks glazed and everything. Beautiful. And that is your show, my friends. Come join me on the space if the show is published before. Thank you for joining me again. Until next time, take care.